Well, I've been into Austin Bantam cars for a long time. My father had an Austin when he was in high school, and I got my first Bantam Jeep in Butler, Pennsylvania at the American Austin Bantam Club meet. That was in 1996. I went there with my father, and we were at the meet, and my father struck up a friendship with Lee Bortmus, who at the time was one of the experts in the Bantam Jeep. One thing led to another. My dad came over to me at the meet and said, "How would you like a Bantam Jeep?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'd love one." He said, "Well, I got this guy over here wants to sell you one." So next thing you know, we were talking. Lee was interested in the Bantam or the Butler Museum there, and he wanted a specific the shop car for the Bantam factory, and so he wanted to sell his Bantam Jeep so he could get this one, and so that's how I got my first Bantam Jeep. Well, since I had the first Bantam Jeep, I had acquired a few others, so I got a call once from Duncan Rolls, who was interested in making a recreation of the Bantam pilot car, and he had talked to a lot of people, and they said, "Well, you have to talk to Terry Williams. He's got several Jeeps down there, and he's not far from you." Duncan was in Longview, Texas, and I was in League City. We're, a few hundred miles apart, but so I get a call from Duncan, and he said he wanted to borrow a frame so he could get started on his project, and so I said, "Well, yeah, come on down, we'll talk," and so he came down, and he and his wife Kim came, and we talked it over, and I sent him back with a frame, and that's how he got started with the Bantam pilot car project. And then after I saw the work that he did, I said, this is the guy that's going to restore my Jeeps. Yeah, I had like I said, I got my first Jeep, and then Lee Bortmus called me a couple years later and said there was another man in Butler that had a four-wheel steer Jeep, and it was for sale, and he asked if I wanted to get it, and I said, "Well, sure, that would be nice." So I ended up buying a four-wheel steer from a man in Butler. And I think what happens if you get two Bantam Jeeps, then you're an expert, or you're the Jeep man. So then people started calling me if there was a Jeep for sale, or and members in the club would say, "Well, call Terry Williams." So next thing you know, I got a third Jeep, and then a fourth Jeep, and then there's one on eBay, I've been very fortunate and lucky in acquiring the Jeeps that I have. I have at the present time 11 original Bantam Jeeps, and then we have the recreations that Duncan did, and that was the pilot car, and then the BRC 60, which was the first generation after the pilot car. The pilot car was presented to the Army September 23rd, 1940, and then the BRC 60, which is the first 75, those were built later in 1940, and then all the other Bantam Jeeps were built in 1941, and the first generation of those had a corrugated floorboard. I think the Army and the designers figured that would add strength to the they had a weight limit, so they figured that would add some strength. Well, it turned out all it did was collect mud and rust out. So then they went to what's called the hat channel, which is a flat floorboard, and so that's the evolution of the Bantam Jeeps. Well, the Bantam Jeep is one of the most significant vehicles in the history of automotive design. If you look, well, the Army generals in World War II always commented that the Jeep won the war for them. That was one of the greatest ideas of being able to move troops around in a battlefield efficiently. So the Jeep is, you know, from a military historical standpoint, one of the most significant vehicles. And then if you look at the design of the Bantam Jeep, I mean, if you look at the prototype and the Bantam Jeeps now, and you look at a 2013 Jeep, you can see the similarities. The design hasn't changed over 75 years. So for somebody to design a car in 1940, and you can still recognize that as the same car in 2013 and 14, is just amazing, a feat of engineering and design. So, okay, in 2015 we're going to host the Austin Bantam Society's trophy meet. That'll be in October of 2015, and that will be the 75th anniversary of the Bantam Jeep. We want to make that a significant event to celebrate that. We're going to invite every owner of a Bantam Jeep from all over the world to come, and we hope that, you know, a significant number of those will come, and we have some preliminary commitments already. So we plan on at least having a minimum of 30 Bantam Jeeps at that meet, and hopefully up to 40 or more. I mean, we're gonna try awful hard to make it you know, one of the most significant events in Jeep history. So we've got, you know, high expectations, and we hope that we can deliver.